All right, so get this.
Okay.
Picture it, summer 2014.
Right.
Your phone is buzzing nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
Not with text, but with videos of people drenching themselves with ice water.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh, yeah.
It was a total social media explosion that somehow turned into a massive fundraising win for ALS research.
A total win.
You remember that?
I do.
We'll get ready to dive back in.
I'm ready.
Yeah, so today we're going to unpack how this challenge went from a few random videos to a global phenomenon.
Wow.
We'll dig into its origins, the surprising ways celebrities fueled its spread, and ultimately how it changed the landscape of online giving
Mm-hmm.
and raised a ton of money for a really good cause.
It really is a fascinating case, isn't it?
It is.
We often see these viral trends pop up and just disappear as quickly.
Right.
But the Ice Bucket Challenge had, like, real staying power.
It did, a real impact.
Huge impact.
Yeah,
And it's not just about the money, either.
right.
The Ice Bucket Challenge sparked a conversation.
It did. About how we engage with social causes online.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and sometimes the kind of silly.
Oh, absolutely.
So before we get lost in a sea of icy videos,
Okay.
let's cover the basics.
Sure.
ALS, or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis,
Mm-hmm.
it's a neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells, leading to muscle weakness and eventually paralysis.
Right.
It's a complex disease with no cure.
Right. And while there's still a lot to learn about ALS, the Ice Bucket Challenge played a huge role in boosting research and
Yeah.
bringing this disease into the spotlight.
It really did.
It's amazing how
Right.
something that started as a simple dare ended up having such a profound impact.
It is wild, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of its start,
Okay.
the origin story of the Ice Bucket Challenge is surprisingly murky.
It is.
It wasn't a light bulb moment. It kind of evolved over time.
Yeah, it's true.
Really.
There were these cold water challenges floating around online for a while.
Oh, like polar bear plunges and things?
Think polar bear plunges for various causes.
Mhm.
No specific charity attached, just the thrill of the cold.
Oh, so like those videos of people jumping into freezing lakes in the middle of winter.
Exactly.
Okay.
But the link to ALS seems to have solidified in mid-July 2014 with a video from a golfer named Chris Kennedy.
Okay.
He challenged his cousin, Jeanette Sinertia, whose husband Anthony had been living with ALS for 11 years.
Okay, so that was sort of the tipping point.
Uh-huh.
But it still hadn't blown up into the global phenomenon.
Right.
We remember
Yeah.
what happened next.
Well, this is where things get interesting.
okay.
Pat Quinn and Pete Frates, both living with ALS, caught wind of the challenge and ran with it.
Okay.
Particularly Pete, a former baseball player.
I remember Pete Frates.
Yeah.
His connection to Boston College really seemed to amplify the challenge's reach.
Absolutely.
Right.
His story resonated with a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially in the sports world, and that helped the challenge gain some serious momentum.
Okay.
But things really went into overdrive when celebrities started taking the plunge.
Literally.
Literally.
Oh, yeah. It was a total celebrity free-for-all.
It was.
Remember Bill Gates?
Yes.
Meticulously engineering this contraption for his ice water dump.
I do.
And Oprah getting soaked by Gayle King.
Oh, it was pure spectacle.
It was.
Even former President George W. Bush got in on the action.
Yeah.
It seemed like every time you refreshed your Facebook feed, another celebrity was getting drenched and challenging their famous friends.
And people couldn't get enough of it.
They couldn't.
That visual element, the shock of the cold water,
Yeah.
it was made for sharing.
It was, the challenge had this perfect combination of elements for virality.
Uh-huh.
It was simple, visual, and the challenge aspect encouraged people to participate and share.
Right.
Plus, who doesn't love watching celebrities do silly things?
Seriously.
Yeah.
But beyond the entertainment factor, the Ice Bucket Challenge actually had a huge impact on ALS research.
It did.
We're talking a staggering amount of money raised.
Over $115 million for the ALS Association alone.
Wow.
That's far beyond what they usually receive in a year.
Really?
Yeah, and this leads us to one of the most remarkable outcomes.
Okay.
That $115 million helped fund the development and trial of a new drug for ALS treatment.
Wait, are we talking about Relyvrio?
Yes.
The drug that was approved by the FDA in 2022?
The very same.
Wow.
It's an oral medication that's been shown to slow the progression of ALS.
Okay.
While it's not a cure, it's a massive step forward.
Right.
And the Ice Bucket Challenge was instrumental in making it a reality.
So we're talking about a tangible result that directly impacts people's lives.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
It proves that something that started out as a fun viral trend could have a real and lasting impact.
Huge impact.
But I do remember there was also some criticism leveled at the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
No social movement or phenomenon is without its critics.
Right.
And the Ice Bucket Challenge certainly had its share of controversy.
Right. Some people called it slacktivism
Mm-hmm.
and felt like it was more about showing off than actually making a difference.
That's a valid point.
Right.
There were concerns that the focus shifted from the cause to the spectacle.
Uh-huh.
Some critics argued that it was more about getting likes and shares than actually understanding ALS or donating to research.
Yeah, and then there was the water waste issue.
Right.
It was happening during a drought in California. So people were questioning the responsibility of using gallons of water for a social media trend.
Right. That was a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
While some people found creative ways to use less water or even recycle it, there's no denying that millions of gallons were used during the challenge's peak.
Yeah, and remember how some people found the challenge to be, well, kind of self-congratulatory?
Yeah.
Like, look at me, I dumped ice water on my head. I'm a good person now.
You're hitting on a point that sociologists call moral licensing.
Moral licensing.
It's the idea that when we do something that makes us feel virtuous, we might be less likely to engage in other helpful behaviors later on. It's a complex psychological phenomenon.
Wow, so the Ice Bucket Challenge, while a fundraising success, also sparked a lot of debate about the nature of online activism and the complexities of social media.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
It forced us to think about the motivations behind our actions and how we can ensure our online engagement translates into meaningful change.
Right.
It wasn't just about dumping water, it was about sparking a much larger conversation.
It sounds like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have.
This is getting really interesting.
It is, and there's so much more to explore.
Right.
So where should we go from here?
Okay.
What aspects of the challenge are you most curious to unpack?
Well, I'm really interested in digging deeper into this whole slacktivism debate.
Okay.
Was the Ice Bucket Challenge just a fleeting moment of awareness, or did it actually lead to lasting change?
That's a great question, and it's one that researchers have been studying for years.
Okay.
The answer, it turns out, is a bit complicated.
So you're saying there's more to the story than just people wanting to look good on social media?
Absolutely. Remember, the challenge raised a staggering amount of money for ALS research, leading to tangible outcomes like the development of Relivrio.
Right.
That's a significant impact that wouldn't have happened without the widespread awareness and funding generated by the challenge.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm struggling with is how do we measure the actual impact of something like the Ice Bucket Challenge beyond the dollars and cents?
Right.
Did it change people's attitudes towards ALS?
Yeah.
Did it inspire more sustained involvement?
Those are the million-dollar questions, right?
Yeah.
And it's where the concept of slacktivism gets really tricky.
Okay.
Some studies have shown that people who participate in these kinds of viral campaigns often feel like they've done their part by simply sharing a video or posting a hashtag.
Uh-huh.
They might be less likely to donate or volunteer their time afterward.
So it's like they check the good deed box and move on.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
It's like they've given themselves permission to disengage, which is what that moral licensing idea is all about. But that's not the whole story.
Okay.
Other studies have shown that the Ice Bucket Challenge actually did increase awareness and knowledge of ALS among the general public.
Oh, okay.
And that increased awareness can lead to more informed decision-making,
Okay.
even if it doesn't translate into immediate action.
So it's like planting a seed that might grow into something bigger down the line.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about shifting the conversation, bringing a previously ignored issue into the spotlight.
Yeah.
And that can have a ripple effect that we might not even be able to measure immediately.
Okay, that's a really interesting way to think about it.
Uh-huh.
So it's not just about the immediate result, but also about the long-term impact on public perception and understanding.
Precisely. And it's important to remember that social change is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
It takes time for attitudes and behaviors to shift.
Ah.
And movements like the Ice Bucket Challenge can be catalysts for that change, even if the results aren't always immediate or easily quantifiable.
I'm starting to get a much clearer picture of how complex this whole thing is.
It is.
It's not a black and white issue. There's so many layers to consider.
Exactly. And that's why it's so fascinating to unpack.
Yay.
We need to look beyond the surface and explore the nuances and complexities of these viral trends.
Okay, so we've talked about the origins, the viral spread, the fundraising success, and the criticisms.
Uh-huh.
What about the lasting legacy of the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yeah.
Did it change the way organizations approach online fundraising?
It absolutely did.
Really?
The challenge was a game changer for nonprofits.
Wow.
It showed them the incredible potential of social media to reach a global audience and generate massive support for a cause.
So in a way, it created a whole new playbook for online activism.
Exactly. And we've seen its influence in countless campaigns since then.
Oh, really?
From the hashtag Giving Tuesday movement to challenges focused on mental health awareness and environmental causes.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as dumping ice water on your head could have such a ripple effect. It really is. It shows the power of a good idea,
Yeah.
combined with the right timing and social media savvy to capture the public's imagination and mobilize people around a shared goal.
Yeah.
But, as we've discussed, there are also potential pitfalls to consider, like the risk of slacktivism and the importance of translating online awareness into meaningful action.
Right. It's not enough to just go viral.
Right.
Organizations need to think strategically about how to sustain engagement, convert supporters into donors, and translate online buzz into real-world impact.
So the Ice Bucket Challenge, while a groundbreaking moment, was just the beginning of a much larger conversation about how we can effectively use social media for social good.
Absolutely. It was a wake-up call for nonprofits, showing them that they need to be just as savvy as marketers and advertisers
Okay.
if they want to break through the noise and connect with a new generation of supporters.
And it sounds like there are still a lot of lessons to be learned and best practices to be developed.
Oh, yeah, for
It's
sure.
an ongoing evolution.
It is.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the origins of the Ice Bucket Challenge, its viral spread, the criticisms it faced, the money it raised, the new drug it helped develop, and its lasting impact on the world of online activism.
Yes.
What else is there to explore?
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go from here?
That's a great question. And I think it leads us to a really important aspect of the Ice Bucket Challenge that we haven't touched on yet.
Okay.
The role of storytelling.
Storytelling.
Yeah.
How does that tie into everything we've been talking about?
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
The Ice Bucket Challenge wasn't just about dumping water on your head.
Right.
It was about sharing your story, connecting with others, and raising awareness for a cause that was personal to you.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
People weren't just sharing videos, they were sharing their reasons for participating,
Mhm.
often highlighting their connection to someone with ALS or their own experiences with the disease.
Exactly. And those personal stories were incredibly powerful.
Right.
They humanized the issue, created empathy,
Yep.
and made people feel more connected to the cause.
It's like those stories were the glue that held the whole challenge together,
Yeah.
giving it meaning and purpose beyond the spectacle of the ice water dump.
That's a great way to put it. It was the storytelling that elevated the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah.
From a silly internet trend to a movement that truly resonated with people on a deeper level.
So the lesson here is that even in the age of viral videos and short attention spans, the power of storytelling should never be underestimated.
Absolutely. Stories have the power to connect us, inspire us, and move us to action.
Yeah.
In a way that facts and figures often can't.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
Yeah.
The Ice Bucket Challenge was successful not just because it was fun and visually appealing,
Right.
but also because it tapped into the power of personal stories
It did.
to create a sense of shared purpose and inspire action.
You've hit the nail on the head. It was a perfect storm of factors.
Wow.
A simple yet compelling challenge. The virality of social media and the emotional resonance of personal stories.
Right.
And that's a formula that can be applied to other causes as well.
So if we want to create a movement that truly resonates with people, we need to go beyond the surface level and find ways to connect on a human level to share our stories and to make people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Exactly. It's about creating an experience that's not just about awareness, but about empathy, connection, and shared purpose.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of storytelling, the importance of translating online awareness into meaningful action, and the need for organizations to think strategically about their online campaigns. What other key takeaways can we glean from the Ice Bucket Challenge phenomenon?
That's a great question. And it brings us to another crucial aspect of the challenge that we haven't discussed in detail yet. Its impact on the relationship between traditional media and social media.
Oh, interesting. I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, remember how we talked about celebrities playing a huge role in amplifying the challenge's reach?
Yes.
Well, that celebrity involvement wasn't just happening on social media.
Right.
It was spilling over into traditional media outlets like television news, newspapers, and magazines.
Right. It seemed like every talk show and news program was covering the Ice Bucket Challenge,
Mhm.
it was impossible to escape.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The Ice Bucket Challenge wasn't just a social media phenomenon.
Huh.
It was a cultural phenomenon that transcended platforms.
So it was a true convergence of old and new media.
Precisely. And this is where we see a really important shift happening.
Okay, what's that?
Social media wasn't just competing with traditional media, it was influencing and shaping it.
So the Ice Bucket Challenge was sort of a turning point in the way news and information were being shared and consumed.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
It showed the power of social media to set the agenda, to drive conversations, and to influence what traditional media outlets were covering.
And I guess this also speaks to the power of virality
It does.
and how it can break through traditional media gatekeepers and reach a much wider audience.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The Ice Bucket Challenge wasn't reliant on traditional media to spread its message.
Right.
It had its own momentum, its own organic energy that was fueled by social sharing and word of mouth.
So it was a true grassroots movement amplified by the power of social media.
Exactly. And this is a trend that we've seen continue to evolve in the years since the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh, really?
Social media has become a powerful force for social change,
Mm-hmm.
allowing individuals and organizations to bypass traditional media gatekeepers and connect directly with their audiences.
It's a really exciting time to be witnessing this evolution.
It is.
To see how social media is being used to empower individuals, amplify voices, and create meaningful change.
It is. But it's also important to remember that with this power comes responsibility.
Right.
We need to be mindful of the potential pitfalls of social media, the spread of misinformation, the echo chambers that can reinforce biases,
Yeah,
and the risks of online harassment and bullying.
that's a really important point.
It is.
So while we celebrate the positive impacts of social media, we also need to be critical thinkers, discerning consumers of information,
Yeah,
and responsible digital citizens.
absolutely. And I think that's a great segue into another key takeaway from the Ice Bucket Challenge:
Okay?
the importance of critical thinking and media literacy.
Oh, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
How did the Ice Bucket Challenge highlight the need for critical thinking?
Well, remember how we talked about some of the criticisms leveled at the challenge?
Yes.
Concerns about slacktivism, water waste, and the focus on spectacle over substance.
Yes, those were some of the more controversial aspects of the challenge.
Right, and I think those criticisms underscore the importance of being critical thinkers,
Okay.
of questioning assumptions,
Uh-huh.
and of looking beyond the surface of online trends.
So instead of just blindly following the crowd, we need to take a step back and ask ourselves,
Yes.
what are the motivations behind this trend?
Right.
What are the potential benefits and pitfalls?
Yeah.
And how can I engage with it
Right.
in a way that aligns with my values?
Exactly, and that's where media literacy comes in.
Okay.
It's about developing the skills to critically evaluate information,
Hmm.
to identify bias, to separate fact from fiction,
Okay.
and to navigate the complex world of online content.
It's like we need a whole new set of tools and strategies to navigate the digital landscape and make informed decisions about the information we consume and share.
That's a great way to put it. And I think the Ice Bucket Challenge was a catalyst for this shift, forcing us to confront the challenges and opportunities of the digital age
Yeah.
and to become more savvy and discerning consumers of information.
So it was more than just a fun challenge. It was a wake-up call.
It was.
A reminder that we need to be active participants in shaping the digital world we inhabit.
Exactly. It was a call to action to be more than just passive consumers of content,
Right.
but to be critical thinkers, responsible citizens, and advocates for the causes we care about.
Okay, we've talked about the power of storytelling, the convergence of traditional and social media, the importance of critical thinking, and the need for media literacy.
Uh-huh.
Are there any other key takeaways from the Ice Bucket Challenge that we should highlight?
There is one more that I think is really crucial,
Okay.
and it ties into everything we've been talking about: the importance of collaboration and community building.
Oh, that's an interesting angle.
Mm.
How did the Ice Bucket Challenge demonstrate the power of collaboration?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
The challenge wasn't successful because of any one individual or organization.
Right.
It was a collective effort, a grassroots movement that was fueled by the contributions of millions of people around the world.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
People weren't just participating in the challenge individually.
right.
They were nominating their friends, challenging their colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
and creating a sense of shared purpose and community.
Exactly. And that sense of community was incredibly powerful. It
Yeah.
created a feeling of solidarity,
Right.
of being part of something bigger than oneself.
It's like the challenge tapped into our innate human desire to connect with others,
It did.
to work together towards a common goal, and to be part of a tribe.
That's a great way to put it. And I think this is a really important lesson for organizations and activists
Okay.
who are trying to create social change.
Right?
It's not enough to just broadcast a message or launch a campaign.
Uh-huh.
You need to find ways to build community,
Yeah.
to foster a sense of belonging, and to empower people to be active participants in the movement.
So the Ice Bucket Challenge wasn't just about raising money for ALS research.
Yeah.
It was about creating a community of people who cared about the cause and were willing to take action together.
You've got it. And that's a powerful legacy that extends far beyond the challenge itself.
I'm starting to see how this all connects back to our earlier discussion about slacktivism.
Yep.
While some people might have participated in the challenge for superficial reasons, the act of sharing, nominating, and engaging with others created a ripple effect
It did.
that had a much deeper impact.
That's a really insightful observation. It's like the challenge created a space for both casual and committed engagement,
Oh, wow.
allowing people to participate at whatever level they felt comfortable with, and that inclusivity was part of its success.
So it's not about judging people's motivations or dismissing any form of participation as slacktivism.
Right.
It's about recognizing that even small acts of engagement can contribute to a larger movement and have a positive impact.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important takeaway for all of us
Yeah.
as we navigate the world of online activism and social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being perfect or having all the answers.
Right.
It's about showing up, doing what we can, and being part of a community that's working towards a common goal.
Okay, so we've explored the Ice Bucket Challenge from multiple angles. Its origins, its viral spread, its impact on ALS research, the criticisms it faced, its lasting legacy, the role of storytelling, the convergence of traditional and social media, the importance of critical thinking, and the power of collaboration.
Yes, quite the deep dive.
Is there anything else we need to touch on before we wrap up our deep dive?
You know, there's one last aspect of the challenge that I think is worth highlighting.
Okay.
And it's something that we've hinted at throughout our conversation.
Okay.
The element of fun and playfulness.
Oh, that's an interesting point. You're right. We haven't talked much about the sheer joy and silliness of the challenge.
Exactly. And I think that was a crucial part of its appeal. It
Yeah.
wasn't just about doing good. It was about having fun while doing it.
It's like the challenge gave people permission to be silly, to let loose,
It did.
and to embrace the absurdity of dumping ice water on their heads for a good cause.
Precisely. And that playfulness was contagious.
It was.
It made people want to participate, to share the experience with others, and to spread the joy.
It's like the challenge reminded us that activism doesn't have to be serious and somber all the time.
Right.
It can be fun, lighthearted, and even a bit ridiculous.
That's a great way to put it, and I think that's a really important message, especially in today's world,
Yeah.
where we're bombarded with so much negativity and division. It's a reminder that we can make a difference while still having a good time.
Yeah.
That laughter and joy can be powerful tools for social change.
So the lesson here is that we shouldn't be afraid to embrace our playful side,
Right.
to inject some humor and lightheartedness into our activism, and to make doing good feel well good.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great note to end on.
I agree. This has been such an insightful and engaging conversation. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of the Ice Bucket Challenge,
Good.
not just as a viral trend, but as a cultural phenomenon that had a profound impact on the way we think about social media activism and philanthropy.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
And I'm sure our listeners have enjoyed it too, but before we say goodbye, I'd love to leave our audience with one final thought to ponder.
Ooh, I love a good brain tickler. What is it?
We've talked a lot about the power of social media to amplify social movements.
We have.
But what about the movements that don't go viral?
Right.
What about the causes and issues that deserve our attention but struggle to break through the noise?
That's such an important question.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the shiny viral trends.
Yeah.
But what about the less flashy but equally important issues that are happening beneath the surface?
Exactly. And this is where I think the real challenge lies. How do we use our online platforms to shine a light on the less visible, the less trendy, but equally deserving causes and issues that need our support?
That's something for all of us to think about.
It-
It's a call to action to be more than just consumers of viral trends, but to be active participants in shaping the online landscape
Right.
and directing our attention to the things that truly matter.
It's like we need to develop a sort of trend radar
Trend radar.
to help us navigate the online world
Yeah.
and identify the causes and issues that truly deserve our attention.
That's a brilliant idea. Imagine a tool
Yep.
that could filter out all the noise and highlight the signals,
Right.
the movements, and the initiatives that are making a real difference,
Yeah.
but may not have the flashy appeal of a viral trend.
It would be like having a superpower,
It would.
the ability to see beyond the surface
Yeah.
and identify the hidden gems of online activism.
And perhaps that's a power we all possess.
Maybe.
It's about developing our critical thinking skills, being discerning consumers of information, and actively seeking out the causes and stories that resonate with our values.
So instead of waiting for the next viral sensation to come along,
Mm-hmm.
we can take a more proactive approach,
Yeah.
actively seeking out and supporting the causes and movements that align with our passions.
Exactly. It's about shifting from a passive to an active mindset,
Okay.
from being swept along by the tide of trends to charting our own course and making conscious choices about where we direct our attention and energy.
So in a sense, the real legacy of trends like the Ice Bucket Challenge and fidget spinners is the awareness they bring to the power and responsibility we have as individuals
They do.
in shaping the online landscape.
That's a profound insight.
Really?
And it's a reminder that the choices we make,
Yeah.
even seemingly small ones like clicking on a video or sharing a post,
Right.
can have a ripple effect,
Ripple effect.
influencing the flow of information and attention online.
It's almost like we're all digital gardeners,
Digital gardener.
tending to the garden of online content and choosing which seeds to plant, which flowers to nurture, and which weeds to pull.
That's a beautiful analogy. And it underscores the importance of being mindful and intentional in our online interactions, recognizing that we have the power to shape the digital world we inhabit.
So the next time we encounter an online trend, whether it's a challenge, a meme, or a hashtag,
Mm-hmm.
let's take a moment to pause,
Yeah.
reflect,
Hmm.
and ask ourselves,
Okay.
what's the story behind this trend?
Yeah.
What are its potential benefits and pitfalls?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I engage with it in a way that aligns with my values and makes a positive contribution?
Those are excellent questions to ask. And by engaging in this kind of critical reflection, we can move beyond being passive consumers of trends and become active participants in shaping a more meaningful and impactful online world.
It's about recognizing that our digital footprints matter,
They do.
that our clicks and shares have the power to amplify voices,
Yeah.
support causes, and shape the conversations that are shaping our world.
Well said. And with that empowering thought, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Ice Bucket Challenge.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the twists and turns of this fascinating trend and uncovering the unexpected connections to how we engage with social causes online.
It has been a pleasure diving deep with you.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Yes, thank
We
you.
hope you've enjoyed this icy plunge into internet history.
Until next time.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning